Hey guys, I'm Chad Hoover. Welcome to today's video where I'm going to give you a bow to stern walkthrough, feature by feature, of my Bonafide SS127 Advanced Fishing Kayak. Oh yeah. This is my kayak. Get yourself one. Fish on! Yeah! Oh my God! Look at that tank! That's a toad, brother. Golly! All right, guys, starting off on the bow of my boat, I have a mount up here that is made by the folks at One Objective that is basically a bow-mounted trolling motor setup, but I use it as a replacement handle and opportunity to put camera mounts and things like that, and I can add a bow mount if I want to. And it also makes a really good guide for my anchor line that runs back to my anchor wizard. So this is the bomb anchor, and again, I just run it right through the handle. It's great for holding position. I top the front handle off with my Rogue Fishing Company's adjustable drag strap, or ADS, because it allows me to make this as long or as short as I need it, and it allows me to get my kayak into those backwoods, places that I like to spend a lot of time. Coming on back up front, one of the things that you'll see a lot in my setup, in my videos, is I love the Yak Attack leverage landing net. But instead of doing the flip around thing and trying to time how fast it is like Gene does, I actually like to have it set up where it's basically right there, rigged and ready to go. And from the cockpit, I can reach up and just stick my hand in there, grab it, and then scoop up that fish and make sure that I don't lose that fish of a lifetime. The way that I've got that set up is I basically just use a Yak Attack lock and load mount, a 4-inch extension to a 90-degree offset, and then I connected that with a roto grip that's designed for the parking pole, and it just makes a great net holder. One of the cool things about Yak Attack is you can literally configure and reconfigure their stuff, which you're going to see throughout my setup, to accomplish whatever rigging thing that you want to do to make it yours. Right here in the front, I've actually got my GoPro Setup, which is a combination of the Panfish Portrait, a 8-inch extension, and a 4-inch extension, and then I just used a couple of these little Velcro straps to run my power cord inside my hatch to my Dakota lithium battery. So let me go ahead and pop the hatch open and show you guys how that's set up. One of the things that I love to do, especially if I'm going to be moving or covering water, is I like to set my 0.1 up with my Lowrance, because in a fishing kayak you get a lot of searching for your graph if you don't use that 0.1 to line it up, and it just makes it a lot easier to read your graph. One of the things that I did is I just cut a little notch right here in my hatch so that I could run my cords through there, and it makes it easy if I want to move this entire setup to another Bonafide kayak. I can just take the hatch, the pod, and everything and move it over to another boat. I don't have a whole lot that's like permanently mounted to my fishing kayak. I've got that all attached to my Dakota lithium 60 amp hour battery, and then to separate my camera just so that it doesn't overheat and it doesn't drain my primary battery, I've got a little Dakota lithium power box 10 that I run my camera mount to. That also works great if I need to charge my phone in a hurry. I actually keep a phone cord curled up inside it, so if my phone dies on the water and I need it in an emergency situation, I'm good to go. All of this is set up with the Namiya starter kit that goes in on the inside, and I basically just screwed it to the top of the hatch with a screw and held it right there up in that dead space on the inside of the hatch. Makes for a nice setup. It's clean, and everything comes right to the back of my depth finder. On my depth finder pod, I simply put a Yak Attack gear track for my 2 drink holders, and then I put a Yak Attack gear track for my graph. I used to use longer mounts, but I've learned that if I use a longer mount, it really kind of makes my depth finder kind of shake and wobble, so I've gone back to the basic mount. I use 2 drink holders. I call them drink holders. This one's definitely a drink holder, but this one actually becomes like a junk drawer of sorts, a little lure drying or stashing spot. This thing actually has the Yak Attack cup actually has little notches on it so that when you hang your lure on there, it kind of catches in the notches. So that thing is perfect. If I decide to run a second graph, I just take one of these drink holders off, put it on the track right in front of the dry pod, so I still have my little drink holder, and then I can put a second graph right there. When I do add my second graph, I have a tendency to use that arm to drop it down and out of the way, and so I can use the 2 graphs and have them both in my field of view. I don't have to have them side by side. Don't do that a whole lot, but now that I'm getting a lot more into active target and things like that, I'll probably will be adding that to my setup relatively soon. Now, a lot of folks will take their anchor wizard and they'll set it up back by the seat. For years, I have set my anchor wizard up at the front, and I get a lot of questions about it, so I'm going to go ahead and clarify why I set my anchor wizard up at the front. For one, I've got long arms, so it's actually easy to reach for me. But if I'm fishing, sight casting, standing up in shallow water, I like the ability to just be able to bend down, drop that anchor, and not have to turn around, sit down, and reach back behind me. So just a a preference for style and the type of fishing that I like to do, but because I stand up and fish so much, I like to have my Anchor Wizard a little further up front. Right here, I just added a Yak Attack gear track, and I added this gear track before they even had the black tracks. So this is kind of the GT 90 top loading track. Put a little Select mount on there with a little ball, and that cord runs to the back of my motor, and that is my reverse cord. So the Torquito motor actually has a really cool feature where you pull that cord and it locks the kick-up mechanism and allow you to go in reverse. Speaking of the Torquito motor, the Bonafide kayaks actually come with a foot brace that has the ability to add a little steering tensioner on the back of it. So basically, if you go from the high position to the low position, or if you're taller or shorter, or if you move the system from boat to boat and you need a different pedal setting, you don't have to take the cord like you did in the old days and bend it over and swedge it, and then you're pretty much stuck with that fixed link. If you need to change the leg length for whatever reason, you can just simply turn that tensioner knob in the back, take up some slack, and now your foot pedals are going to control your motor, and it makes for easy hands-free fishing. Over here on the right side, mostly because I'm casting on, over to the left, it's just a preference. You can put it on either side. I have my Torquito throttle mount, and my Torquito throttle mount is actually mounted to a Yak Attack Mighty Mount XL with a lock and load system that allows me to actually articulate it. Sometimes I put it really close to the seat, and sometimes I turn it out away from the seat. And then there are other times that I can take this mount and move it to the front and replace my drink holder if I have it between my legs, say if I'm offshore trolling or fishing to where I don't have to reach off to my side. And so one of the great things for me about Torquito is you can constantly adjust and readjust your setup based on how you're fishing, where you're fishing, and what you're fishing for. Now, in my opinion, the Bonafide seat is one of, if not the most comfortable seats on the market. But that being said, I came across the Kayak Cushion a couple of years ago, and it is a must-have if you're a kayak fisherman. If you've got a cheap starter kayak, this thing will make it feel like a luxury sports car seat. It just kind of hugs you. I go with the firm on the seat part and then the soft or medium on the back, and it turns your fishing kayak seat into a lazy boy. And if you're going to spend 10, 12 plus hours on the water a day, it really makes a world of difference. So on the back of my seat, I attached a Tackle Webs Heroes on the Water Edition pouch. That allows me to keep some spare plastics and things in the back. For the most part, this is my Ned Rig bag, so I keep it back here so that I force myself to try not to use it. But if it really comes down to it and I need it, I know that the Ned Rigs have got my back. Okay, so anyway, I also love the fact that I can just attach all of my stuff to the back of the seat. I've got a pair of these pretty awesome Fish USA pliers that attaches to the back with a Rogue fishing micro leash. I've got my Boga grip on the back here so I can confirm how big or how small the fish is. I've got a spare Torquito throttle magnet connected to the back and tucked inside there. Coming on back, I've got my Torquito battery kind of just tucked in nice and neat in the dead space between my seat and my Blackpack Pro. Now, a lot of people don't realize this, but the Torquito is a complete system. The throttle, the battery, and the motor all weigh under 35 pounds. The battery is actually waterproof and it floats, and the entire system is good for both saltwater and fresh. It's rated at 3 horsepower, and the thing will absolutely move your fishing kayak. What I like about it the most is with the oversized prop, you barely have to use it to keep your boat moving, and so you can ease along being really stealthy, covering water, and basically presenting your lure to a lot of fish. So if you're a tournament angler, I think that thing is probably the biggest advantage in kayak fishing. So moving on back a little bit here, we've got our Yak Attack Blackpack Pro. Now, this is the 16 by 16 version. They do make a 13 by 13 and a 13 by 16 version. I actually use all three. I use the 13 by 16 in my riverboat, and I use the 13 by 13 in my fly fishing setup. And so this thing is just a monumental storage compartment. I can basically put 2 worm bags in here. I think I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 tackle boxes, a spare leader material, and then I keep a couple of extra tools and even a first aid kit inside there. What's also cool about this gridlock system is you can put tracks on it that allow you to move camera mounts around. You can put, Boga grip holders. There's just so many things that you can do to make this Blackpack yours. One of the cool updates that they've made with this Blackpack Pro is they came out with this new concept called the tether tube. So instead of having a bunch of bungees or curly cords, these hooks are made into the Blackpack that just connects onto the rod, and it keeps it from getting pulled out of the rod holder. Should you paddle past a tree limb, that grabs a hold of it. Should you flip your fishing kayak, or anything along those lines. Coming on back to the back, I'll kind of point this out from this side. I basically have a Yak Attack double header, the exact same thing that I use to hold my paddle, but I outfitted it with 2 park and pole rotor grips. That way I can make a quick load system for my Catch X measuring board. If you're fishing in a tournament, managing your measuring board is critical so that you can catch the fish, get it on the measuring board, get it back, and you don't have to sit there and fight and fumble with your board. The back half of my filming setup so that I can share these adventures with you guys is a Yak Attack boomstick to the lock and load base right on the track that comes on the Bonafide SS127. I simply bought a 6-foot cord that goes to my GoPro, attached it with the included mount from Yak Attack, and I power the entire setup with my Dakota Lithium Power Box 10 that I just set right behind my Blackpack. It's out of the way, it's nice and clean. Coming on back, I actually like to add a couple of tracks in places where I can add camera mounts at different angles. I can put tie downs. In some cases, I'll put the Yak Attack vertical tie down. I'll take a cord and pull on this and tension it, so if I'm fishing in rough water, it doesn't swing around. And it just basically gives you a lot of options. That's why I love the breadth of products from the folks at Yak Attack. So you can literally put something anywhere you want it, and you don't have to have access to the inside of the hull. But if you do have access to the inside of the hull, you can make it even stronger. I've never had a situation where I've overloaded them or ripped them out of the fishing kayak. In fact, I think the kayak might fail before the track would fail. So to finish off my setup, I basically have a power pole mount and a Torquito motor, and I'm able to attach that to my boat with the innovative Sportsman rugged inline mount. And that rugged inline mount allows me to put the power pole on here. It allows me to go down through this gap right here, still have room to fold it forward if I need to get out of a shallow water situation should the battery or the unit fail. I'm able to control it right from my remote, the key fob that I have attached directly to my PFD. Just makes managing boat position super clean and easy. I'm a big fan of the battery pack so that there's one less thing that you have to wire, one less wiring situation you have to fail, and I like to move it from boat to boat to boat. And so if I had the wiring tied into my fishing kayak, that would make it difficult to use on multiple watercraft. So I am a big fan of opting for the plug and play battery pack that the folks at Power Pole make. And then finishing the whole unit off, the thing that powers it all is my Torquito 1103 motor. A lot of folks know that I've been one of the kind of evangelists for motorized fishing kayaks. I literally believe that we need to promote motorized fishing kayaks, because if there isn't a market for them for folks that don't need them, they won't be available for the folks that do, like folks that have suffered a life-altering handicap, veterans that have come back from war and need some type of assistance. So I've been a big advocate for motors for a long time. And to be honest with you guys, early on, I promoted it because I wanted it to be available for the people that didn't need it. And now it is just an integrated part into the way I fish. I almost don't leave home without it. I do paddle extensively. And the cool thing about this thing is you can raise it up, lock it out of the way, and now you're just simply kayak fishing. So for the folks that make the argument that once you add a motor to a kayak, you're not kayak fishing anymore, we'll just finish with this. Now I'm kayak fishing, now I'm not. Now I'm kayak fishing, now I'm not. It's as simple as that. But this thing is really clean, really powerful, all day range, lightweight, and yeah, when you consider that it comes with the battery, it's not that expensive at all. When you buy these bow-mounted motors and start adding lithium batteries, you're going to get around the same price, if not even a little bit more expensive. So to finish the whole motor thing off, I want to end with this. I got into kayak fishing to catch more fish. I didn't get into kayak fishing to be a kayaker, and a motor allows me to cover more water. It allows me to go further. It allows me to fish longer, and it allows me to get to places that I couldn't get without it. So I got into kayak fishing to catch them where others can't. I added a motor to my kayak to catch them where even other kayak anglers can't. All right, guys, so I'm Chad Hoover, and that is the walkthrough of my Bonafide SS127 advanced fishing kayak with pretty much all the bells and whistles. Look, you don't have to get this advanced to get into kayak fishing. You can just get started with a basic fishing kayak, a paddle, and a PFD, and get out there and have a good time. But what I wanted to show you here is that with kayak fishing, you're not limited to making any sacrifices. The sky's the limit. Anything you can do on a bass boat, you can do in a kayak. but I think you can do a lot of stuff in a kayak that you can't do in a boat. So I'll see you guys in the next video.